All right, very cool. So we got this thing recorded. I am excited to jump into this with everybody. First of all, thank you to everybody who's making some time on their Monday night for joining this, investing a bit in yourself. There's so many other things you could be doing right now. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world, as everybody's well aware. You could be glued to your TV. You could be going out doing a date night with your spouse, but you're here with me, and I appreciate your time. So thank you so much for that. So let's dive right in. So as everybody's been seeing on social media, I've been posting out today, the title of this training is called Regain Your Trust. And this is a really big thing for a lot of people. I've put myself out there really over the last 2 weeks, and I've been having some amazing conversations with so many people about really what holds them back. And a big part of that is this topic of just a lack of trust with yourself that over time ends up building into something that really is much bigger than it has to be. And it's my hope throughout this training and some of the slides to follow here that we have some breakthroughs and we have some moments and some realizations where things click. And that's really what the hope is on this. So if anybody has any feedback, anybody has anything, feel free to jump into the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself and engage. You know, I'd love, these calls are small now. You know, there's like 12 to 15 people on here, but I have no doubt in the next few months, there'll be hundreds of people on here. So while these calls are small and they're intimate, I would love the opportunity for us to engage and have some really good conversations. So let's jump right in. So as I said before, please just one more time, make sure your phone is muted. If you're on your phone, if you're on your computer, please make sure your phones are muted. Pat Taylor's my counterpart in going through all this. When I'm speaking, he's going to be looking at the participants list, making sure things are muted, and I'll do the same when he jumps in. But if you have something you'd love to comment, jump into the chat, type comment. If you have a question, feel free to do the same, jump into the chat, type question. So I'm excited to jump into this. So here's what we're going to be covering. So today's agenda, number one, we're going to talk a lot about integrity. We're going to talk about the definition of integrity and what that means. Number two, Pat's going to take this one. We're going to talk about the power promise. We're going to talk about the ability to build back some of that, maybe lack of trust is the right word, that you've built with yourself. Number three is integrity momentum. Number four is wherever you are, be all there. One of my favorite quotes of all time. And then we're going to wrap up with some takeaways, some call to action. So let's jump right in. So number one, the definition of integrity. And I'd love it if we can get some action in the chat or have some people unmute themselves, but how would you define the word integrity? When you hear the word integrity, what does that mean to you? Does anybody want to jump in and give some guidance on what that might mean to them? Or Pat, if you can watch the chat for me and maybe read some comments, I'd love to hear what everybody on this call thinks about the word integrity. What does that mean to you?
I'd say doing the right thing when no one's watching.
100%. Love that, Sonny. What else? What does integrity mean to you?
Looks like Christy thought the same thing, doing the right thing even when no one is looking. We got Bryce, being honest with yourself even when no one's around.
I love that.
Vinny, honesty and ethics.
Love that. 100%.
Doing the right thing even if it doesn't benefit you.
Absolutely.
There you go, bro. 100% on that one, Christian. I appreciate that. Integrity is doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it when no one else is watching, right? So everybody said that. So my question to you guys, what areas of your life are you struggling most with integrity after hearing it defined this way? And this is something that you can feel free to be vulnerable with. That's what I want these calls to be. I want it to be a safe space. But if you have something in your own mind where you know you're struggling, we'd love to work through it. So Pat, anything from the chat, anybody want to jump in, talk about maybe an area in your life that you're struggling with integrity?
I see Vinny's talking about the gym. So, you know, personally, I can always relate to this. I see you say Sonny's been your accountability partner, helping you get through with that. So, yeah, I mean, the gym is something where you really got to hold true to yourself and know it's not easy every single time. I'm sure a lot of people on this call can say they've missed a few gym sessions when they knew they should have went, right? So I appreciate the honesty, Vinny.
Awesome. Next, and this is a big part. I really want everybody on here to internalize this and think about this as we go through this point. Most people have amazing integrity with everyone else in the world. For example, when you tell a friend or family member that you really care for, that you're going to do something for them, do you ever not deliver? Everybody has amazing integrity with everybody else but themselves. And it's so backwards because if you just had that same integrity with yourself, if you kept all of those commitments that you made to yourself, just like you know you would with other people, where would you be in life? How much further ahead would you be? How much happier would you be? Right? So just think about that for a second. Really internalize that point. You have amazing integrity, but it's just with other people. So if you're able to keep the promises and commitments you make to somebody else, no matter what, why can't you do that with yourself? And I would encourage you to just really think on that point. And a big thing I've been doing lately is a ton of journaling. And if you're somebody that wants to go a little bit deeper into yourself, I highly recommend you write down some of these things, grab a pen and paper, and just start writing, and you'll be amazed at what you figure out. And that's a really good journaling question. Why do I have amazing integrity with everybody else but myself? And go deep into that. You might find something really incredible. Next, as I just said, most people are great at keeping commitments they've made to other people, but oftentimes, again, they struggle when it comes to commitments they've made to themselves. So some examples here for myself, right? I think a lot of people are talking about the gym. I hired a coach. I'm really big into just having other accountability partners in my life. And I hired a coach that's waiting for me at the gym because I made a commitment to that person that I would be at the gym at this time and we would do this workout together. And that small thing for me has made me go to the gym, and the byproducts and the results of that have been incredible in all other areas of my life. So accountability is a big thing. So just think through that a little bit, because there's definitely some commitments there that you know you can do a better job at keeping with yourself. So here's where we're at. Now's the time to take back your power, right? This is your time to completely change your life. But in order to do so, you have to first honor yourself. When you do give your word, you have to do absolutely everything in your power to honor your word, because nothing else you say or do matters if you keep breaking the trust with yourself. You have to view yourself as the most trustworthy person in your whole life, because the way you view you and the relationship you have with yourself is going to be the litmus test or the common denominator with everybody else, right? If you don't have that trust with you, you might look at other people in your life with a little bit of a dishonest lens because you don't have that with yourself, right? But if you know you can trust you, all of a sudden you start to look at relationships a little bit differently. So everything starts with you. Everything starts internal. You have to get yourself out of the hole you've dug yourself in. And the way you do that is the exact same way you got yourself there. To get yourself out, all you have to do is reverse the process. We are going to get you out of this hole the same exact way you got yourself in, step by step, day by day. It's the same way when you go to the gym or you start working on learning a new language or whatever it is you're trying to do. Nothing good happens overnight. Everything good in this life takes time, right? Mm-hmm. You can't microwave your way to success. So when it comes to this process, don't get discouraged because you start taking action on something and you don't see results even 30 days later or a week later, whatever your time frame is. The reality is good things take time. You didn't go 50 pounds overweight in a single session, right? It took years of bad habits. Just like this, you're not going to get yourself out of that overnight, right? It's good that you're self-aware. It's good that you're on this call. It's good that you want to get better, but you have to commit to the process. You have to commit to the time it's going to take, and you have to look at it and say, look, if it took me a year to get myself into this position, it might take me a year to get out, but the time's going to pass either way. The only question is, are you going to be in a better position 1 year from now, or are you going to be where you are today? So that's the definition of integrity. And when it comes to a quote that I think really relates really well to what we just covered here, it's this one. I feel keeping a promise to yourself is a direct reflection of the love you have for yourself. I used to make promises to myself and find them easy to break. Today, I love myself enough to not only make a promise to myself, but I love myself enough to keep that promise. And I think that's super powerful. Today, I love myself enough to keep that promise. So if you're struggling with any sort of self-love, self-doubt, anything, right? And I know that, there's a lot of men on this call. I know that as men, it's not the easiest thing in the world for us to wear our emotions on our sleeves. But when you are that person in your life, with your family, with your friends, it really sets the tone that it's okay to be that person for other people. And everybody's looking for somebody to lead them. And when you can be this person and you have this type of integrity and trust with yourself, all of a sudden you give other people permission to be that person as well. So be the example. A big thing for me is lead from the front. And if you're in sales, you've heard that before, but that doesn't just go for, making the most money or being the most productive salesperson. That goes for everything in life. Lead from the front. So next, Pat, you wanted to take this one, right? The power promise?
Right on. So the power promise. This is something that, the way to get yourself out of the hole you've dug for yourself is through a power promise. There's a commitment to yourself to love yourself and follow through. A power promise is a commitment you make to yourself that you know without a shadow of doubt that you will be able to honor every single day, no matter what. It can be something simple as, brushing your teeth, walking your dog, just 5 minutes on the treadmill every single day to start the day and get yourself going. A power promise is designed to help you build life momentum. What does this mean? My personal opinion on this is, every morning I try to start my day with what they say is eating your frog, right? Doing something hard. It gets me going so I don't fall in a rut the rest of the day. I wake up, I go to the gym, I go for a run, I meditate, I take action, and I make that commitment myself every morning.
Yeah, so let me jump in on this one as well, Pat, because I think that this power promise thing is really the biggest thing that everybody on this call, again, if it's 7 o'clock Eastern time and you're on this call, there's something, maybe it's the relationship you had with me or Patrick or whoever reached out to you about being on this call, but there's something in your life that you could be doing better. There's somebody in your life that you care about that might be nagging you about something that wants the best for you, or maybe it's you. Maybe there's somewhere in your life that you're neglecting something. And it could be something super small. But the power promise, people, when they come in, they try and make these huge, ambitious goals. And they set the bar super high from the very beginning. And then what ends up happening is you get discouraged. And then when you get discouraged about a new goal you've set, you find a way to justify not taking action. And the power promise is literally meant to be the smallest thing, one of the first tasks you're going to do in the morning that allows for you to wake up with integrity. It allows for you to generate good momentum, right? That's why it says in the bullet above this, brushing your teeth, walking on the treadmill for 5 minutes, because what happens when you get yourself on the treadmill? The hardest part is just showing up. 5 minutes in, you're like, oh, I could do this for 10. Then 10 becomes 20, 20 becomes 30. And then before you know it, you've walked on the treadmill for an hour and you've created such great momentum so early in the morning that the rest of your day, you start asking yourself, what else can I do? What else can I accomplish? So that power promise is something that if you keep score and you look at 5, 6, 7 days a week of honoring your commitments, the whole trick behind the power promise, guys, is for you to look at yourself and say, I am trustworthy. When I do something, I honor it, because that has a ripple effect that takes hold of the rest of your life. So hopefully that point makes sense. Go ahead, Pat.
Awesome. Wise words, Brett. You need to love and care for yourself enough to honor yourself and the promises you make to yourself. How can you ever deliver extraordinary results to the world if you are unable to honor and trust yourself with even the simplest of personal commitments? The simple answer is you can't. Speaks words. The thing in your life that do not look the way you want right now are only this way because of all the broken promises you've made along the way to yourself. I have plenty I've made to myself throughout the years. When you try and fail so many times, you will inevitably lose belief in yourself and only be able to operate at a suboptimal level. I've experienced this quite a few times. Make a simple promise to yourself and honor yourself by doing what you say you're going to do every single day. And when you rebuild that trust with yourself, make another power promise to yourself. Keep doing this until you have completely dug yourself out of a hole that you put yourself in, and watch how drastically you are able to transform your life. I've had so many fallacies to this. I have been up, I've been down, I've fallen in so many ruts, I've lost touch with myself, I've lost loved ones because I couldn't love myself, right? We all know that. You have to love yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And as many of us have worked in the similar industries, whether you're in sales or anything else, you got to do the little things day in and day out to build that trust in yourself to take on bigger challenges. Because when you do the little things, after a while, the results come.
I love that. You nailed that, Pat. Thank you so much. So here's just some examples, right? These are things that you can be doing to simple power promises. A big habit my wife and I have gotten into years ago, and we've never stopped doing this, is writing 1 or 2 things or even 3 things in a gratitude journal every morning that we're grateful for. And a byproduct of that has been I naturally wake up a bit earlier than my wife. And when I wake up and I write 1 or 2 or 3 things I'm grateful for, and a few of them are about her, naturally when she wakes up and that's the first thing she reads in the morning, what do you think that does for our relationship? So a good little thing, if you're not in a relationship and it's just you, it's still an amazing thing for you to write that out. And then the next morning you wake up, you crack open that gratitude journal and you look back at what you wrote yesterday, the week prior, and you start to realize, wow, I do have a lot to be grateful for. So that's a great habit. If you're not using a gratitude journal, if you're not writing out pen to paper things you're grateful for, that whole habit alone could change your life. Another one is reading, right on the bottom left corner there. There is no reason, with Audible, with iBooks, with just hard copy. I mean, there's so many people that have outlined everything you're trying to accomplish or will ever try to accomplish. There's no shortage of knowledge. There's just a shortage of people consuming it. Go to the gym. If you're not somebody that lifts weights, if you're not somebody that, might be into a certain type of workout, that's fine. There's a workout for everybody. So figure out a way to move your body. Even if it's just rolling over first thing in the morning, doing some push-ups, air squats, crunches, move your body, change your life, change your state. You got to get yourself moving. So simple commitments, right? If you say you're going to be somewhere on time and you're the person that's always late, show up 15 minutes early. Make a power promise that you're not going to be late. So there's so many different things that you can do. There's no wrong answer. I promise you that. Integrity momentum. Integrity momentum is when you get yourself into the rhythm of truly honoring your word to yourself, and everything around you begins to transform for the better as a result, right? Integrity, momentum. Integrity, momentum. It's all connected. You start to keep these commitments, and then over and over again, you start to build momentum. And when you have momentum, things happen, okay? That's the goal, is to build integrity momentum. Number 2, master your first power promise. It seems so small, and it is so small. When you know that's all you've committed to and you've done it every day for 2 weeks, that's how you build real momentum, okay? It takes time, but overall, it's like pushing a snowball down the mountain, right? Eventually, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it just keeps rolling. And all you have to do is just continue to keep pushing it little by little. It's not like you're continuously pushing it uphill, right? You've reached that point where now you're going down, and it's just pushing it little by little, and you just keep the ball rolling. Number 3, you will learn throughout the process of keeping your power promise each day that your word has value. And when you speak something, it'll happen. That's where that whole premise of you speak things into existence, right? Your word has value. But if you truly feel right now that you make a commitment to yourself, whether it's spoken or unspoken, and that's the other thing we haven't even touched on yet. A lot of the promises we make to ourselves, they're internal, they're subconscious. We're the only ones hearing them. So we might not even be saying something out loud, right? In your head, oh, I know I should need that. Oh, I know I shouldn't do that. Or I know I should maybe make this call or not make this call. And then you end up doing it. You end up going against yourself. That's where you internally negate what you're doing. It doesn't have to be something you say out loud. And oftentimes you stop saying things out loud because you know you don't keep those words. So then when you make those promises internally, that's when it gets even worse. That's where the war inside your head begins. So be aware of that as well. Your word will become so powerful because you know that everything you say comes to fruition, and most importantly, that you can manifest it. The bottom line is integrity is built every single day from within, based on nothing more than our ability to keep simple daily promises we make to ourselves. So I can't overstate this enough, guys. You need to learn to trust yourself. If you're in a point right now where you don't like where you're at, it's because you keep making promises to yourself that you're not keeping. That is the key with this. And the goal is to build integrity momentum, where when you make a promise, spoken or unspoken, you do what you have to do because you told yourself that you were going to do it. And when you become that trusting with yourself, there's no way you lose. It's impossible. So understand that. And I think this quote goes really well with that slide. A river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence. And when I think of integrity momentum, that's what I think of. It's a river going through, right? It cuts through that rock. Not because the river has that much power, water has that much power. It's just because it doesn't stop pushing. And eventually it will find a way. And that to me is the definition of integrity momentum. Wherever you are, be all there. When you're going through your day, and this is another question that you might want to journal or ask yourself or type into the chat, and Pat can read out or you can jump in. When you're going through your day, are you 100% laser focused on what you need to be doing that time? Or are you oftentimes finding yourself distracted and having a tough time staying locked in? This is a big thing for a lot of people. It's tough to stay focused. So when you go through your day, if you say that you want to do something, are you able to push yourself through and stay with that? Or are you finding yourself distracted? What do you guys think? Anything in the chat, Pat?
I see Bryce, 100% laser focused, but oftentimes not on the right things.
Okay. Totally agree. So my question to you, and hopefully you guys are listening, whether you're contributing in the chat or not, totally fine. But again, these are questions that I want you to explore within yourself. What are some power promises we can make with ourselves right now to hold ourselves accountable to being 100% focused on the actions required for us to achieve our goals. So for example, if you are somebody that's committed to your health and fitness, right, and you're making a whole new push to get to the gym and you find yourself getting there on a daily basis, but maybe your workouts are not what they should be. Maybe they're not 100%, right? So a power promise in that case might be, I'm going to hire a trainer, something simple, right? Somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Or maybe you don't need a trainer. Maybe you know what to do, but maybe you're on social media too much. Maybe you're on Instagram when you should be moving some weights around, right? So maybe a power promise is you're not going to touch your social media apps while you're at the gym. Something simple, right? If you're in sales, right? A big part of being in sales is prospecting, whether it's making phone calls, knocking on doors, messaging people on Instagram, whatever it might be. Maybe in those situations, you're going to commit to doing it for an hour at a time, completely undistracted, and then you're going to take a break. These are small things that if you put systems in place, you will be able to overcome and get the results you want. It's just that simple.
Hey, Brett, Vinny Vano had a good point where he's saying never forgetting your why you started this in the first place and holding that true.
Love that. Thank you, Vinny. Wherever you are, be all there. That is the only way you're going to ever transform. There are no great rewards in this life for people that are operating at half speed. I know so many people, and I've been this person so many times, where if I go 100% with something, I know I'm going to get the result. But if you go less than that, if you go half speed, you just don't have enough time in the day to get the results to justify the time you've already invested. So what happens? Most people end up quitting because they're not seeing the results quick enough. And it's not because they're not talented enough, skilled enough, or not have the resources. It's because their mind is not 100% while they're doing it. Amazing things happen when you allow yourself to be 100% focused and committed. And that's a battle between you and yourself. And that's where building this integrity momentum and utilizing the concept of a power promise really allows for you to be mentally present. And if you're present, good things happen. Final point on this slide. Everything that you want in this life, guys, is on the other side of the promises you keep breaking to yourself. And that's a really tough thing for you to mentally swallow because that means everything's your fault. And that's that premise of extreme ownership, where everything that happens to you is your fault, good or bad, right? So the good stuff, take accountability. That's amazing. You made something happen. But for the bad stuff, you have to own that as well. And understand, it's not meant to dwell. You're not meant to get upset by that. But it's meant to understand that you have control. And when you understand that premise of control you have, you can reverse it like that. So a power promise is something that's going to help you with that tremendously. And again, it's meant to be something simple that allows for you to generate good momentum with yourself. And again, the quote that I think goes with this one, and it's very fitting based on the slide, is wherever you are, be all there. You're never going to achieve great things in your life, in your business, in your family, in your home life, if you're not present. If you're sitting there on your phone, on Instagram, and you're texting when the people you love most are sitting right in front of you, you're missing an opportunity to connect with them. And I know a lot of people say their why is the people in their life they care about the most, yet I'm victim of this as well. I'll be sitting there distracted on my phone trying to build something or doing X, Y, and Z when I'll tell myself, and I think we're all honest with each other, the reason we all work so hard is because we want to enjoy the time we spend with our loved ones. Well, if that's the case, then why are you not doing that right now? So it's a reality check, and it's something I work on every single day. So wherever you are, be all there, because at the end of the day, you're going to look back on those moments and you're going to wish you were. So let that be a little dose of reality. So to wrap this thing up with takeaways, then I'd love to open this up for some Q&A and just some good feedback. First things first, integrity is saying what you said you're going to do, what you say you're going to do, when you said you're going to do it, when no one else is watching. In order to improve your results in any area of life, you have to stop compromising your self-integrity and stop breaking the spoken and unspoken promises you constantly make with yourself. You have to be honest and vulnerable with you. If you can't do that, it's going to be impossible for you to do that with other people. Number two, a power promise is a commitment you make to yourself that you know without a shadow of a doubt you will be able to honor every single day, no matter what. You need to be intentional when it comes to rebuilding the trust you've lost with yourself. And I just want to pause on that for 1 second. That sounds harsh, right? Like, oh, I've lost the trust with myself. I'm not saying that it's something that has to be really, really bad, right? That it doesn't have to be like you've done something that's unforgivable, right? It could be something as simple of, I say I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I snooze my alarm and I don't get up until 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And in that half hour, I could have done so much more with the day and really set my day off on a different tone. It's something as simple as that. You can still be a very high performer, like I know a lot of you on this call are, but there's another gear there just by keeping those small promises to yourself. Number 3, after you've made a power promise to yourself and stuck to it for an extended period of time, you're going to build integrity momentum. And when, again, I want you to think of that as you're pushing that boulder up the hill. Anybody that's built a business, overcome a family situation, anything difficult in life, which I know everybody on here has. When you first start out, you try and tackle that problem. It's like you're Mr. Strongman trying to push that boulder up that mountain. And integrity momentum is when you reach the peak and you start going down a little bit. And now all you have to do is just keep touching it. Just keep pushing. The only thing you have to do is just keep pushing little by little because the momentum is going. Once you get positive integrity momentum on your side, it's only a matter of time until everything around you begins to transform. Just like that quote with the river cutting through the rock. Persistence and momentum are very powerful forces that you want on your side because they make anything and everything possible. Number 4, everything you want in this life is on the other side of the promises you keep breaking to yourself. Think about that. What if that's really all that it is standing between you and your wildest dreams that you've ever had for yourself? Take back your control once and for all. Make a promise to yourself that you can keep every single day. Rebuild the trust you've lost with yourself, and then watch how quickly your entire life transforms. You are so much more in control than you allow yourself to be. I promise you that. So you have to understand that, and it's a scary thing for people because, again, that means that everything is your fault, good or bad. And there's some scary situations. We've all come into some controversy, especially over these last year and a half with COVID. Things have changed, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. But it all starts with the littlest of promises you make to yourself first thing in the morning, and then building up that integrity momentum. Because once you have that big mo, that law of momentum on your side, I promise you, anything is possible. So in closing, I say it all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup. If the training from last week, if the stuff I've been posting on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, if any of this stuff resonates with you and you're looking for somebody to hold you a little bit more accountable, I don't want this to be a sales pitch, but schedule some time on my calendar. I'd love to chat with you with this new venture, Grow2Gold. I'm going to be building up my one-on-one coaching client list, and I'd love to dive deeper. If any of this stuff resonates with you, I'd love to talk about it more on a granular level with you and help you to figure out how we do this with you. Because I promise you it's possible, and having a coach or an accountability partner or somebody on your side really does make a huge difference. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal coaching. That's why I'm able to get on and do these type of calls, because I know it, because I've been poured into. That's why I can pour from my cup. So hopefully that point makes sense. So Pat, anything in the chat there? Anybody else on here? I know we have 15 participants. Anybody want to jump in and talk about something from this that might have stood out to them? Maybe an aha moment or some feedback. Anybody have anything before we wrap this call up?
We had a lot of interesting feedback in the chat. So, I mean, I would love to hear from Dimitri, Mike, Vinny, Bryce. A lot of you have posted some really interesting messages in there, so I'd love to hear from you. Why don't we let Vinny go? Vinny, you still on? Oh, Mike's perfect.
I'd say for me, personally, I'm definitely going to start brushing my teeth in the morning. No, just joking. But I'm definitely going to start not hitting that snooze button so much, because I've definitely found that's definitely a weakness for me. So if I could, because, I'm missing out on, I think, like an hour a day. You hit snooze, close your eyes for 10 seconds, then an hour goes by. So I'm definitely going to try to jump up and get that going right away. For me, that's definitely a takeaway for me.
Can I give you some advice on that one, Sonny? And that's something I struggle with as well. My biggest piece of advice to you is your bathroom close to your bed?
Yes.
So here's what I recommend. Plug your phone in at night in your bathroom and set your alarm outside, so you have to get outside of your bed. If your phone is within arm's reach of your bed, that's why you're snoozing it and going right back to bed. What I would always do is plug my phone in the bathroom, and then the first thing I do is I have to look myself in the mirror when I go to grab my phone, and you have one of two choices, right? If your alarm got up, your feet are already on the ground, and you're already in your bathroom, and you're looking yourself in the mirror, and your alarm is going off, for you to shut that alarm off and then go climb back into bed, that's a scary thing, right? But for you to look yourself in the mirror quick, splash some water on your face, and you're already up, now all of a sudden you get your day going because it wasn't within arm's reach. So if that's something you truly do want to change, brother, I would highly recommend you do that starting tonight. And you're going to gain back an entire 30 minutes or 1 hour first thing in the morning, where you can really build some good momentum. And all of a sudden your life's going to change. especially with you now diving into sales. That's a big thing for you, man. And I'm really rooting for you. Pat keeps me posted on all your success and this new transition in your sales career. And I have no doubt that that's going to be a good winning thing for you. So try that. Let me know how it goes. And I think you'll have a lot of success with it.
Thanks, Brett.
Of course, bro. Anything else in the chat, Pat?
Yeah, we got, I know, so Bryce, you mentioned we have a lot of good nuggets in here. What are some of your takeaways?
Well, everything that was basically summed up was phenomenal. I mean, having the integrity with yourself, that's something that me and Brett actually talked about a little bit earlier, was, staying true to who you are and, mainly not letting yourself down in that regard. And that's something I honestly, I need to start doing again. I used to have like a board that I would score myself, like every single day that I woke up and had a good breakfast, it's a little check mark. Every single day that I work out in the morning, little check mark. Read a book, and just kind of keeping that accountability to yourself, because anything that you track you're going to get better at, right? But if we don't track it, it's impossible to obviously be aware of that. So that's something that I haven't been doing, and this definitely kind of rewoke me up to keeping track of those things, those small wins, and creating that momentum for your day, eating that frog. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, Bryce, that's huge, man. And just the psychological bonus that you give yourself by being able to check that off and then looking at your board at the end of the week and knowing that you did your best and seeing all of those promises and commitments you've made to yourself, that creates so much momentum for you. That's such a big thing that after a while, when you fall out of that habit, it's something you should definitely get back to. So Bryce is a rock star. Bryce has been a good friend of mine. He's up in Canada for a long time. We were in a similar industry for a while, and he's somebody that is a huge influence for people. So Bryce, I appreciate you being on here, brother. And this is not the last time for everybody on here that Bryce and I are going to be doing something together. So I'm excited about what the future holds. So Bryce, you're the man. Thank you, brother.
You too, Pat, man. Appreciate it.
Pat, anything else you see on there?
Question. How do you stay focused on your small goals? Like, let's say when you meditate, and how you stay focused that 15, 20 minutes? Because sometimes I catch myself, like I'm meditating, but I think about the next sales call or whatever. Like,
Sure.
yeah. At the gym working out, like I do have a trainer, and he's like concentrated, and I'm like, oh, my phone is ringing. I need to get that. Like, how do you stay 100% laser focused, let's say, on your small tasks of the day?
Great question. So for me, it comes down to, number one, meditating is a tough thing to do midday for me because I'm busy, just like I know you are, Dimitri. So I really meditate first thing in the morning. So like the advice I gave to Sonny, I'll give you guys just an idea of what I'm doing. My alarm always goes off in my bathroom, look myself in the mirror, splash water on my face, number one. Second thing I'll do is go right over to my couch, sit down, meditate for at least 15 minutes. So at that point, I'm still a little bit tired. So my mind is still kind of waking up. But if I ever try and meditate midday, it's really hard because it feels like I'm trying to escape something. But if I jump right into meditation first thing, it tends to set my day off on a much better tone because I'm not so focused on everything happening around me. In terms of the gym, that just comes down to you setting boundaries, Dimitri, when you have to tell, and I know your business from conversations you and I have had on the side, a lot of it can be very reactive. So that either comes down to you possibly leaving the phone in the locker room, and just if you can, let your clients or assistant, whoever might be helping you, to know this is 30 to 45 minutes of protected time because you're at the gym, you're riding, you're doing what you do, Dimitri, because you want to be the best version of yourself. So you show up with the energy and attitude you want to have for your clients. And when you can understand that and you can make your clients and your team understand that, now all of a sudden that time is more beneficial, not just for you, but for them. So you have to figure out a way to set good boundaries. And that comes with oftentimes just making your schedule possibly a bit more clear. A big thing for me is I'll schedule everything on my calendar and it's all public. I don't hide anything. So if I'm not answering and somebody calls me a couple of times, they can check my calendar if it's somebody internally and see what I'm doing. So those are just good tips in terms of the meditation side and doing that. But a lot of it just comes down to you being able to set those boundaries. And it takes time, man. It's practice. It's being able to ignore certain calls and know that it's okay and that things will get handled. And what I've seen a lot of times in my career from a management perspective, and I know there's some people on this call that can also speak on this, but typically when you don't answer right away, your team tends to figure things out without you. And it's actually a way to empower them more. And that's a hard thing to do if you're going from salesperson to manager, because you're so used to being so reactive. But as a manager or a leader, and I know you're running your own company now, so I don't know if this answers your question, but it's also a good thing for you to let other people figure things out. So hopefully that helps.
Great. Awesome.
What else, Pat? We got anything else?
Well, Chris, do you want to give you a shout out? This call was fire. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, Brett. Always giving a nice clap.
Love you guys.
We had Tony on here just saying amazing stuff. So it looks like everybody here that contributed. I mean, personally, what I'm going to work on is really nourishing certain relationships within my own life. I spend too much time focusing on work when in reality, your work's a small part of your life. Your relationship's what's more important at the end of the day. So I'm going to make that promise to myself.
I love that. Yeah. Biggest thing is, guys, everybody on here can make more money, work less, and be happier. I promise you all it's possible. I promise you all it's possible. Work less, make more, and be happier. It all starts at home, and it all starts with you, and it starts with how you start your day, because nothing is possible if you don't believe it's possible and you haven't created that momentum with yourself. If you trust yourself and you know that when you say you're going to do something, you execute on it, everything after that becomes easy. But the hardest person in the world and the worst person to lie to is yourself. So don't allow that to happen. And I promise you everything else after that will start to end up in a better position for you. So I thank you all for your time, the 10 of you that stayed through this entire call. Hopefully you took some value from this. We're going to be doing many, many more of these calls. Please interact and engage with me on Instagram. If you have my number, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to go deep with anybody that needs some help or wants to chat through some things. I love the fact that we're being vulnerable with each other and honest, because that's how you grow. So I appreciate and love every single one of you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to post this to my YouTube channel as well, so you can go back and rewatch this if there's anything from this you want to regain. But I look forward to seeing everybody next Monday on the next Zoom call we have. And if you have friends or family members or anybody that you feel could benefit from some of this content, please tell them about it. And I'd love to have them on the call as well. So have a great Monday night. Go kill Tuesday, and have a great week, everybody. We will talk to you all soon. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.